Today I have the pleasure of discussing what I think is one of the finest, most emotional, most exalted soprano operatic arias in the entire repertoire. It is La Mamma Morta from Umberto Giordano's verismo opera Andrea Chenier. And this aria comes in Act 3, when the character that sings it, Maddalena de Coigny, has had a lot of transformation happen in her life. In Act 1, she begins as an aristocrat, and by the time that Act 3 is rolling, the French Revolution has not only begun, but it's already spiraling out of control. And so the semi-revolutionary character of Andrea Chenier, the poet after whom the entire opera is named, and he's the character is based on a real person that lived during the French Revolution and was in fact executed. Maddalena has fallen in love with him. And at the same time, she has lost everything about her aristocratic life. And so she sings this aria at a turning point in the middle of Act 3, when her former house servant, Gerard, has now used Andrea Chenier's upcoming trial for sedition to try to bring Maddalena in and convince her to be intimate with him. So he's been in love with her for a very long time, and so he's become obsessed with her. And right before this soprano aria, Gerard himself sings one of the most magnificent baritone arias in the entire repertoire. So there are multiple pieces in this opera that reach such a level of musical exaltation. They are genuinely works of genius as far as the Italian opera tradition is concerned. So whatever you think about how melodramatic or over the top some aspects of Italian verismo opera may seem to you, I think this is the tradition in its most emotional and musically impassioned. We'll listen to four very, very special singers in this aria. First, we'll hear Maria Callas' 1955 live performance from La Scala, and I'll discuss why I've chosen that over the studio rendition. Then we'll hear Lina Bruna-Rasa, who recorded the first complete studio recording of this opera, as far as I'm aware, in 1931 at La Scala. Bruna-Rasa was an absolutely astounding verismo soprano, and she has exactly the qualities that can take this masterpiece of an aria and bring it to its full potential, truly realize it. Then we'll listen to Claudia Muzio, another incredible verismo Italian soprano, who was extremely successful singing Puccini, and we'll hear here that those same qualities, even during the late stages of her life when her health was declining, make her an incredible interpreter of the piece. And then finally, stick around because I've selected a very, very special performance of Renata Tebaldi in this role, and I'll explain exactly why I picked that performance when we get to it, but I do not think you're going to want to miss it. So now let's switch over to listening to Maria Callas' rendition. She has a very famous 1954 rendition under the baton of Tullio Serafin in the studio, and it's featured in the film Philadelphia, and there's this whole dramatic explanation while she's singing of what she's singing about. I guess kind of a little bit like what we're doing here. But I think the live performance from La Scala is considerably better. Her studio rendition is inspired, but it's too restrained. I think this piece, unlike a lot of other pieces, is so musically self-interpreting. It just demands absolute self-abandonment, especially at its climax. It has to be sung with exceeding intensity. You have to surpass your limit as an interpreter. And so in some sense, I think there hasn't been a totally definitive version of this aria, because the greatest performances just open up your imagination to what it could be. And it always seems like there's even something more that could be found in it. But I don't think anyone's quite surpassed Callas' performance, as great as the other interpreters we'll listen to are. You'll hear the way that she shades the words, the way that she phrases everything, the sheer intensity, the way that she controls even the speed of her vibrato, the chest voice that she uses. Chest voice is completely indispensable in this aria. It's ruined by conservative use of chest voice. And what Callas does in her live La Scala performance is she sings with absolute abandonment. She has a glorious, ample usage of portamento. You'll hear in the big climax of the aria, where there's usually a dramatic pause, she covers over it with a portamento, which I think is perfect. I think it's better to do it that way than to leave the empty space. My personal preference, I think a lot of empty spaces are covered well with a portamento, and I think this works perfectly in Callas' rendition. And of course, you'll hear the tenor-esque ending where she sings all the way up to the high G natural above middle C in full chest voice. I think that is the best way to finish the aria. It is very, very difficult to give a truly astounding performance of this aria if you're not willing to sing the ending in the lower octave. Not take it up the octave, but sing it in the lower octave in full chest voice. That's probably enough talk. Let's listen to Callas' performance, and I'll make sure to leave some written comments in the score, and then we can talk about any other details afterward. This particular restoration of Callas' 1955 performance of this aria comes from Mark's 7811's channel. I highly recommend you check it out. He has a couple of great restorations of old recordings. I'm normally not the biggest fan of very filtered recordings, but whatever he's done here really, really is, I think, the best way to hear Callas sing this aria. Here is Maria Callas at La Scala, live in January 1955.
Alla porta della Santa Vita
Yes, you can understand why this performance is a triumph at La Scala. And this is Callas right around in the best of her skinny voice period, so to speak, right at the beginning of 1955. She would leave many, many legendary interpretations live in that year. And I don't even know where to begin. You can hear right from the beginning how she uses chest voice in the lower register, even if she's not singing very loudly in particular, but she colors the voice with this dark yet clear sound, chiaroscuro, if you want to use the technical Italian term that was used both in music and in visual arts. And the legato, the phrasing, it's beautiful, and she knows just how to accent the right part of every phrase. And she sings with so much intensity. And then when you get to the climax of the aria with Io son l'oblio, where she messes up the words a little bit, the portamento again is perfect. Io son l'oblio, io sono il Dio, and so on. And she just keeps on intensifying. And the music there is self-interpreting, like I said earlier. It just wants more and more and more. It needs to be sung fortissimo. You don't hold anything back. You sing as loud and as intensely as possible. You just give everything, 150%, right until the end. And what I also like about Callas's rendition is that she takes the harder lead up to the B natural. So you'll hear in some of the other renditions, there's the lines leading up to that. You can sing a sort of shorter version that leaves more space open, and then just sing the B natural. I think what Callas does, where she keeps singing the longer line all the way up into the B, and she has no time to rest. I think that is dramatically just the better line. It works better. It leaves no space. I think the ending just needs no empty space. It needs to constantly intensify from that gap that she covers with a portamento right until the end. Bigger, louder, more intense. The tempo intensifies everything. And because the emotion is overwhelming. It's just, this is the closest touch to the divine in almost the entire opera. And you can hear a ton of biblical allusions in this ode to love, basically. I mean, the notion of love gathering your tears and counting them. That comes from the Psalms, for example, where God gathers the tears of his elect, of his saints, and none of them are lost on him, and he shows deep compassion for them. The notion of a God coming down from heaven to earth to make of earth a heaven. Obviously, that has incarnational connotations, and just the Lord's Prayer includes the very famous line, "Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven." Now, all of these elements are a step removed from their immediate original Christian context. This is in a French revolutionary context, of course, and Chenier himself originally voices his displeasure with the way that the church has been acting in France in his day. So you can still hear the allusions to the most profound aspects of religious spirituality in this aria, this notion of a divine love that transcends the earthly realm and that gives new life and rebirth. So it's a woman coming in touch with the most divine aspect of existence. I don't think this performance by Callas has been surpassed. I think she outdoes herself, certainly outdoes her studio rendition. And this is one of the finest testaments of her artistry in her career. Next, let's look at a verismo soprano, Lina Bruna-Rasa, who has many temperamental similarities to Callas. And in fact, I think it's extremely plausible, if not even straight up probable, that Callas learned from this particular record. Lina Bruna-Rasa recorded 2 renditions of this aria, one in 1928 for a recital, one in 1931 for the complete opera recording of Andrea Chenier. And we're going to listen to the 1931 rendition because I think it's a little bit more polished. Her voice is in slightly better control. She had a tendency to have a little bit too fast of a vibrato when she was making her earlier records. At this point in her career, it's a bit more controlled. Overall, both recordings are absolutely tremendous. It's some of the most exhilarating documents of Italian singing that we have left. And they'll speak for themselves. Lina Bruna-Rasa is the female voice, at least the soprano voice, that uses the most chest participation in her sound from any woman that I think I've heard. You'll hear that she's bringing chest up all the way up into the top of the 4th octave, maybe even the 5th octave. And it makes for an extremely compelling, intense rendition. And she still manages to sing the B natural at the climax of the aria pretty much on pitch. The high notes could be a bit of a struggle for her, but it's an astounding performance of this aria. And as trivia, Lina Bruna-Rasa was Pietro Mascagni's favorite Santuzza in Cavalleria Rusticana. She recorded the role in the studio with Mascagni conducting in 1940 with Beniamino Gilli and Gino Becchi as other cast members. And we have, I think, what is realistically, for her and Mascagni, an even more exciting historical document. We have a live performance from the Netherlands in 1938 of Cavalleria Rusticana. And as Santuzza, Lina Bruna-Rasa just almost sounds possessed by something at times. She sings with so much intensity. It's an impossible performance. So if you're not familiar with her, I think this is a great introduction, her performance of La Mamma Morta, and I would encourage you to check out those other recordings because she is one of the most mind-bending voices that I've ever heard. So let's listen to her now in 1931.
Amare la mamma morta, ma con la porta della stanza
Yeah, so I think you can hear the similarities between this voice and Callas's, especially with the use of strong chest and the color that that provides in the lower register. But Bruna-Rasa, I think, just takes it to the next level. You can hear it after Io sono l'oblio, she takes the pause, and then Io sono il Dio. It's just so full. She thrusts her entire voice into it. It's so thrilling. It's just extraordinary. I can't imagine what this must have sounded like in the theater, but you could have almost tasted every word. You could have heard, understood everything, and it's so visceral, so emotive, it's so pure verismo. It's exactly what verismo is supposed to be. It's verismo at its highest form. And I think she really understood this aria. She was just emotionally deeply in tune with the character. It's devastatingly beautiful. And I think we need to give Giordano also credit for his skill as a composer. By the way, when this recording was made, he was still very, very much alive. He was there even when the following recording, the following big recording in 1941 was made with Gigli as Andrea Chenier. He was still alive at that time. So Umberto Giordano died in 1948, and this recording of Lina Bruna-Rasa was made in 1931. So this is during the composer's lifetime. This is what great interpreters of his operas sounded like. This is what the composer intended for his opera's performances to sound like, by the way. So we can talk about taste changing with time. Sure, we can do that. But we know what the vision of the composer was like. We know what the singers in his day sounded like. And again, to give Giordano credit, he was an amazing composer and orchestrator. The way that the cello and the voice work together, especially at the beginning of this aria, the way the cello weeps with Maddalena for the loss of her mother, for the loss of the life that she knew, for the disgrace that her maid has to take on in order to sustain her, in order to keep her alive, and for the sheer humiliation that has come to this woman that knew a sort of vain and superfluous aristocratic life and is now reduced to the greatest hunger and need in the mire of France. It's just tremendous. It's such good writing, and it's such an astoundingly faithful, beautiful, inspired performance. I have done a little bit of sound work on this performance, as I have on the next one, to expand the audio image a little bit, bring additional clarity, and hopefully unveil the voice a little bit as much as is possible in this older recording. But we're extremely, extremely blessed that it exists, and I think the sound quality is definitely, there's enough clarity and fidelity there to get across what this opera is about, what this aria is about. So next we move on to Claudia Muzio, and this is a recording from the same time period. This is her set of electrical recordings that she did for Columbia in 1934 and 1935, most of them in 1935. So this is from June 1935. And at this point, Claudia Muzio's health was failing. She was an amazing verismo interpreter. She was a legendary Mimi in La Boheme. She recorded the big aria Si mi chiamano Mimi several times in her career. And she recorded this aria, La Mamma Morta, in 1920. Now, in 1920, she takes the ending the way that I like it, in the proper octave, in the fourth octave, with the G natural sung in full chest voice. At this point, in 1935, I suspect because of her ailment, she may not have had the breath support to sustain the long ending in full voice. So she takes it up the octave. She is one of very, very few interpreters that I basically make the exception for of saying, I think this was a tremendous performance, even though the ending is taken up the octave. I think it's a real disservice almost always to the aria to sing that G natural that's in the fourth octave, up an octave. It's meant to be done in full voice, in chest voice. I think that is the best possible effect you can get at the end of the aria. But not to belabor the point, Muzio has, again, incredible phrasing, such an Italianate style. She was, I would say, no doubt an inspiration for Callas and everyone that came after her. Her records were well known. And she sings here absolutely admirably. For a woman that would pass away shortly after these recordings were made, you can see why she was considered one of the greatest of the greats in her lifetime. And we're so extremely privileged that she left such a recording legacy, and that she made these final recordings before she passed away in excellent electrical quality. All of her earlier ones were made on wax cylinders, but these ones are electrical recordings, so they preserve much more of the fidelity and the quality of the voice. And she still sounds spectacular. Let's take a listen. Here's Claudia Muzio in 1935. Wow. Wow. And the cello at the beginning, just that was so magnificently played. Yeah, Muzio here has to take maybe a couple of extra breaths here and there. I've heard it said that she had a collapsed lung during this recording session, but I haven't been able to verify that. She definitely was not well with her health, unfortunately. She'd been ailing for some time. But the intensity with which she sings is extraordinary. She just got it. She just understood the aria, and it's just incredible. I don't know what to say. I think everything else that we've said about the other interpreters, for the most part, applies here. Such a strong low register that she uses expressively. She sings with so much abandon, sheer exaltation. It's just fantastic. It's just such a deeply moving performance. What an amazing document. And now for a final recording, I've selected this particular performance by Renata Tebaldi, and I want to explain why. This is from 1966 from the Metropolitan Opera. Again, it's a restoration from Mark's 7811's channel, so I recommend that you check it out. I'll have the performance linked in the description as well. I believe this is the Metropolitan Opera broadcast with Franco Corelli from 1966. I'm almost confident of it, but it doesn't state the date in the original video. Why this performance, though? By 1966, Tebaldi was not exactly in her prime. There's a great performance from 1949 at La Scala, where she sang alongside Delmonico. Spectacular. There's her early 1950 Phonet studio recording. There's a 1950 live San Francisco recording. There are all sorts of other recordings from the intermediate time period. There's a 1960 recording in Vienna with Franco Corelli and Ettore Bastianini, where she's, again, fantastic. There are a couple of 1961 recordings from Tokyo. There's a stereo broadcast, and then there's also a video recording of her singing this aria. And she is admirable in all of these performances. But I've chosen this particular one from the Met because, I don't know, there's something emotionally about what she does here that is astounding. And the sheer level of investment, personal self-investment into the role, into this performance, the amount that she gives, the levels to which she's willing to take her voice to deliver every last bit of what the drama is about, of what this aria could be. You can hear that she's pressing her very limits, and it's breathtaking. It's humbling to hear a performer give this much. There's an interview that I heard a while back with Tebaldi where she talks about how it was her criticism of some newer performers that she felt were not giving as much as they used to give back in her day. And she said that we would lose a couple of pounds every night from the intensity with which we would sing. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I think the substance of that statement is completely true, and you'll hear it here. But there are also a couple of other significant details that I think enhance our ability to understand why this performance would be so powerful and so personal. Renata Tebaldi never married. She never had a family of her own, but she was very, very close to her own mother. And remember, this aria begins with Maddalena confessing how she found out her mother had been killed. Renata Tebaldi lost her mother in November of 1957, and it was an absolutely devastating blow for her. It took a lot to get her back on stage after that, and for her to refine her confidence and her ability to sing, to find the emotional peace that she needed to be able to perform. And then in 1963, she also had a vocal crisis where she needed to take some time off before coming back to the stage some months later in 1964. By 1966, some people consider this a second prime of her career, but she was vocally not where she had been in her first prime, in her actual prime. However, at this point in her life, this aria couldn't have meant more to her. Personal both because of her own experience with the loss of her mother, and also because it was a vindication that she could still sing one of the roles that she was best known for in her earlier career, and she could still give audiences the Tebaldi that they had come to know and love. And what we'll hear here is that from the lowest notes to the highest notes, she gives absolutely everything. The high B barely makes it there, but she gets it out. And what comes out is almost a cry of despair that is completely perfect for what she is trying to express. It somehow fits so perfectly with this very aria that pushes inherently, musically, it just pushes the soprano to the very ends of herself to express the fullness of the character. And you'll hear the ending, you'll hear the way that she says everything. She is completely unsparing with her use of her low register. It's just such an incredible, incredible performance. Genuinely breathtaking. So here is Renata Tebaldi from the Metropolitan Opera in 1966. I hope you enjoy.
Mano alla porta della
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think that may very well stand up to Callas's performance. Yeah, whatever limits her voice had, she pressed them all and she made it through triumphantly. I don't know what to say. The phrasing, the legato, the sweetness of the voice is still largely there. But also there's this maturity and weight and deep emotional sadness that permeates this performance, and in this hope that's so prevailing. It's overwhelming for her. It connects immediately. She touches my soul. She touched the audience souls. You can see the way that they responded. It's such a viscerally true, honest, devastatingly vulnerable performance. And I have no doubt that singing an aria about finding hope and life and love and joy again after losing a mother must have been something extraordinarily personal to her here. and with her return to a career, triumphant second career, after a profound vocal crisis. I mean, this performance is genuinely magnificent. I truly am lost for words. She does something truly amazing here. Really spectacular. And in this phase of her career, she also went on to sing La Gioconda. She was one of the best Giocondas. I think she was one of few Giocondas that, again, can stand up to Callas. I think Callas is unsurpassed in that role. But Tebaldi, you can clearly hear that she learned from Callas's recordings. There's a fascinating anecdote of how she came to listen to Callas and realized Maria's the best. But we can talk about that another time. I have great respect for Tebaldi. I really think she was one of the finest Italian singers of the last century, which is saying a lot. Whatever her limitations, whatever her shortcomings, whatever her struggles, the voice was so magnificently beautiful. And like all the other women in this video, every part of her voice was resonant. That is part of the Italian sound. The voice needs bite from bottom to top. The middle register needs bite. The lower register needs weight. The upper register needs power, clarity, resonance, ping. Like with male voices. Female voices obviously are different. The coordination of the registers is different. But every note has to be full of color, intensity, and ping. And what an amazing performance from each of these four women in one of the greatest arias for soprano in the Italian repertoire. A moving, deeply emotional, and musical masterpiece. So thank you so much for watching. Please stick around if you like what you've heard, and let me know if you have any other singers that you'd like me to listen to potentially review. Really appreciate everyone's support. Have a wonderful day.